what a wonderful group of people.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So today for me is all about gratitude. My healthy family, children and grandchildren, the gathering of all of you, including my special niece Pamela and my cousin Ruth Ann and my goddaughter Carolina, who will represent the family for me because my boys can't be here, but we're going to send them the video. We are talking about art when so much of the world and so many people are suffering. There are two works here I want to note particularly. The one, this one is called Democracy Hanging by a Thread. And at the end of my talk, I will talk to you about another series of work called The Missing Letter. So now my thanks, Kwasi's leaving, but I want to thank him. Where are you? He's a very bright and very gentle and he's been so helpful with all of this, with all the details and the invitation to show here. And also, I just finished about you.
Oh, wonderful. Here I am. Actually, Ruth, before you continue, let me just give a very quick introduction to the gallery, and then we'll continue.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. So I realize that there's so many new faces here that may not quite know where they are. But welcome everyone. Ruth has already introduced me, so I won't waste any more time with that. This is our 25th year at the Paul Dietrich Gallery, and it's been quite a wonderful journey of showing artists of different stripes. And I wanted to just give you a very quick sense of why this all came about and how we came about to have Ruth here. We began this gallery with the idea that we would present work of people with whom we collaborate and people who inspire us. And that's one of the avenue through which we have Ruth today. She's amongst those who inspire us. I first got to see Ruth's work through Alison Rowell. Alison, thank you so much. Without you, none of this would be possible. Right, and then I think it was a nude on your wall of Ruth's that I saw, and two nudes, and that piqued my interest. And then later at Matthew's gallery, I saw a show of Ruth's, and one of the things that I think that really struck me and made me think about Ruth for the gallery was the idea, first of all, the gestural quality of the work, you know, and the sense that I got that in order to be truly creative, you have also to be vulnerable, you know. And Ruth, I think, really embodies both of that. And I think the summation of that is the raw power that you see on these walls here, you know. And so it is, we here at CambridgeSeven at the gallery are really, Ruth, we're so incredibly honored to have you and your work here. It means a lot to us, and the opportunity to walk through here and see a fearless show makes us go back to our desks and take some of that with us. So we really, really, really appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. All the work that's here, well, most of the work is for sale. The Paul Dietrich Gallery, as some of you may know, is nonprofit, which means that 100% of the proceeds goes to Ruth to continue her journey.
Thank you.
to that end, we also have a few books of Ruth's and some brochures that are also available for sale. If you're interested in anything this evening or later on, either reach out to me or Emily, who is here somewhere, right there. My incredibly tireless assistant.
I wear many hats today.
So, thank you. And with that, without further ado, please continue.
Okay.
Great.
So, I'm very grateful to be an artist and to share what I've learned and my process. Starting when I was 23, I went to art school at night, and a whole new world opened for me. It has allowed me not only to learn, but to share what I've learned, and starting in about 1975, to create community with other artists. First in Watertown, a group of us rented a space, there were 10 of us. Then Fort Point started to happen, and I moved there, and there were 30 of us who founded a building together. It was the first limited equity, what's the whole thing? Limited equity. The first artist-owned limited equity live-work studios in the country.
Here, here.
And who said here?
Me.
And so it wouldn't have happened unless Mariana Pineda, who was a sculptor and artist at the time, and a group of other people went for an NEA grant. And that grant provided the money to hire a city planner, Jerome Nesson, and he helped us to develop the building. And nobody wanted this building because it only had a freight elevator. It didn't have a passenger elevator. So none of the big businesses wanted it, and of course now that building's in the middle of a thriving, well, too thriving a place. So the figure, and now my Gloucester community, which is very important to me, and also involves, working with other artists, working together to make things happen. So the figure had engaged and challenged me, and I wanted the discipline and also to carry on a long figurative tradition. I worked for 30 years in clay on an armature, and then fired clay in casting, and ultimately welding. At some point, as I understood how the body worked, I was able to abstract from it. With this new, more abstract visual language, I started to simplify the gesture and the parts. The line and collage and paper and paint became the way to express some sculptural ideas on a two-dimensional surface. Stepping back, how do you grow from an art education to a personal visual language? I'm going to describe actually this whole talk is going to be like 10 minutes, so keep your attention. I could have started off where I was born.
We're thankful.
Okay, so I'm describing 3 or 4 pivotal experiences. The first one was in night school at Boston University, and John Wilson, whose work you may know, he was just at the MFA, and now he's on his way to the Metropolitan with his show. He set up a cube and a triangle and a ball, big wooden forms, and he shone a light on them so that we could see how dark and light played out on them, and learn then to draw and create volume. But that's not all he taught. Then he gave us big pieces of newsprint paper, and he put them up on the wall, and he gave us Conte crayon. And he said, now take that crayon and take those shapes and just go crazy with it. Just do whatever. And of course, every single drawing was different, and everyone had a first-hand experience of understanding what it meant to bring something alive and to have a gesture as the foundation, that you can draw something as beautifully as you want to. If it doesn't have a gesture and aliveness to it, it doesn't work. So that was my first big pivotal experience. After 1 year of drawing at night school, I enrolled at Boston University. I loved sculpture and learning from the human body, and I thought, if I could do a life-size figurative sculptures, I could do anything. Early on in art school, I learned about the abstraction of Matisse 4 backs. And I put them up on the wall there, just so you get the idea that they start from observation and the figure at the top, and at the bottom it becomes a line. Matisse worked from the figure to abstraction. The first more observed from the model, and as he proceeded, each back is more abstract. In moving from observation to abstraction. The earliest work here, the armature series, 5 and 6, those are the two verticals there, those are once I understood what Matisse was doing, that's how I interpreted the figure front and back in my own language. Sculpture became too difficult for me. I was still working in clay and plaster and everything, but making the transition to working in a collage form to express the same thing solved a lot of problems for me. So, over the last 50 years, as the work became more mature, I was not only interested in the figure, but I followed my love of Hebrew stories and symbols and ancient artifacts, from a trip to Israel, the Israel Museum, figures in dance, a goddess form, tree of life, and symbols like the missing letter. So there are two, this is actually, you can see it after, but this first one here is a painting that has the missing letter in it. First I'm talking about container series. The one that's at the very beginning that's on the card is the container series. It's acrylic oil and collage created to contain and summarize many of the stories and symbols I've used over the years. In relation to the container series, at this time, I was in a group at our temple sharing information about ethical wills. An ethical will is everything you leave that is not about money. That was where the idea came from, to make a container of the work with a lot of the symbols I had used over time. My process in any given year or two or more is to start with a fairly complex idea of symbol or figurative reference or story, and through the process of creating a body of work to make art that is more minimal or simplified. Both religion and art can move us to something bigger than ourselves. A more recent body of work titled The Missing Letter is a reference to a Jewish tradition of a non-existent mystical letter. It is said that when the missing letter does appear, it will create undreamed of worlds, transforming repression into loving. It's a hope. I again am grateful to all of you for being here. I hope this background is helpful to understand some of an artist's process. A book of my work is here if you want to see more in sequence or whatever. And I'm open to any questions. And that's it.
Can you talk a little bit about the art industry? Because I don't understand how come you're not famous. Because
I
you.
don't worry about it.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Because I love your work with the body and geometric shapes and apples and egg and what you're doing now.
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful thought, and I do appreciate it. And I'm famous to those who know me.
Well, I'll take a quick stab of that. Ruth, you also remind me very much of my very dear friend who passed away, Hyman Bloom.
Oh.
And I think that both you and him have a little bit in common where the work is more important than the exposure. You know, both Hyman and Ruth are people who have deeply explored what it means to be here, and don't mind being vulnerable, sharing that with us. And that's always, I think, been paramount. But she's not unrecognized like Hyman also. As you know, her work is at the MFA, the Rose Art Museum, the Israel Museum,
The Rosé?
the Rose Art Museum at Brandeis,
Oh.
and other institutions, private collections also.
It's gonna be as big as it gets.
It doesn't get much bigger than that,
Yeah,
Ruth.
no, that's great.
George,
Well, you said the sculpture got too difficult. In which way did it get too difficult to do sculpture?
well, you know, I'm looking at people like David Smith, who was one of my heroes.
In your book, yeah.
He's a big guy, and he was welding these big pieces. And I was welding pieces like about that. And I think the pieces that I welded are beautiful. I love what I did.
Yeah.
But I think, and if you've ever cast a life-size figure, it's really tough. And I did about 4 of those. And, you know, after that, I was, and then, you know, after that childbirth, it all was kind of in one big pot. I thought, there's got to be something easier than this.
If I may ask you a question.
Sure.
I'm curious, in some of your work, it looks like you're working using pieces from other previous works. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I keep old paintings and drawings so that I can cut them up, and you know, in the missing letter, that piece that's at the top there. I mean, I don't
The red
know, it
piece
came
right
from
there.
somewhere, and the same with the piece at the bottom, and those 3 pieces on that far one. I'm particularly fond of that. Because it's, and it's got the missing letter, it's got an ancient sun, it's got a tree of life, and it's got the goddess. And I'm sure that some of that, you know, some of the paper pieces were cut out of other pieces.
Also.
Yeah. I think I keep it and figure, you know, maybe I'll use it for something else.
Hey Ruth, you know, I
Yeah.
think your work is sculptural, actually, because you
Yeah.
actually, the paper, it's thick paper, and it's collage. So they're actually 3-dimensional pieces that you can move around, and so it is kind of sculptural in a very, you know, collage-y, sculptural kind of way. What about canvas? How do you feel about canvas? Because you're, you know, just wondering
I
about.
did a number of pieces on canvas, but I think I'm happier with paper because I can cut it and move it. Once I'm stuck with the size of a canvas, it kind of limits me. So, I mean, I've got a great big one in my living room now that I have stopped working on about 9 months ago, and because it's all stretched and perfect, and I can't cut it, and I could, I might. I don't think so. But it doesn't give me the same freedom that the paper does.
the diptych? Why diptychs are important to you?
Where's the
Behind you.
just that one.
Well, but in your work. I
Well,
mean,
the front and back
Mhm.
of
You've
a
done a
figure.
lot of
Mhm.
diptychs.
Yeah, front and back. Behind me, it's a very practical reason. If it was one piece, I couldn't get it out of my studio. Huh?
That's why.
Yeah, for that one, because it, I couldn't get it to make the turn downstairs.
Wow.
It's very practical.
Any other questions?
Curious if there are colors that have a certain significance or symbolism. Because you have a lot of repeated colors.
I like flesh color, I like the yellow that's like the sun. A sort of standard green that I get into that, when you're, the green when you see like little trees up, when you're driving and you're on the highway and you look way out and there's these little puffs of trees on top of hills. That's where the green came from. I mean, it's not complex. Yeah.
Oxblood though.
Mhm.
Oxblood is your signature color.
The blood. Yeah.
Red.
Yes, Mark.
I don't know how else to ask, but could you just talk about that piece right there on the wall for a minute?
Oh, well, I did that, when I was having, a really major connection more so to Judaism. And I made that Jewish star right in my gut. Now my granddaughter, so out of nowhere wants to be bat mitzvahed. So I'll give her this piece, but, yeah, it's not, I wouldn't call us a religious family, and, I remember loving doing that piece and feeling very, centered and, yeah. Yes.
After the transition from sculpture and modeling and molding, have you missed the roundness and all that?
Oh, really? Okay. No. And I was surprised about that too. But I haven't. I think I did that for so many years, working in 3 dimensions, that in some ways it was a relief to be able to just work on people. Thank you.
Ruth,
Have we done it?
just to
Yes,
follow up
Tim.
on that question, do you think when you're working in the collage format and the shapes almost visually or 3D, again, that figure, in other words, while you're just working in 2 dimensions and, again, there's some layering involved, just curious whether you sort of think sculpturally in your work, as you said, you figured it in terms of having a base, whether that's sort of subliminal or subconscious, or whether that's
Yeah, I don't think I even, I'm just working with the paper and, I don't think I think a lot about making it 3-dimensional is the question. Yeah.
But you often, when you explain something or when you look at something, you often use the words, look how sculptural this is, when you're talking about a drawing or a painting or something that's often a theme of yours or an observation.
Yeah, if I hit it and I feel like it is.
Or even when it's somebody else's work.
Oh,
You
yes.
often will
Yeah,
entertain that thought or it stands out to you.
yeah, yeah.
There's so much movement in your work. I was just wondering if you ever studied dance.
I love to dance. I haven't been dancing much this year, but all my early work. Well, I want to say something in relation to that. The question was about whether I'd studied dance. I haven't studied dance. once I learned how to make the figure stable and figured out where all the parts were, and then I started to make it move. And so I made this whole series of moving torsos as if they were dancing. And my gestural drawing, I mean, you can see it in the book, came also out of that. And my early foundation with John Wilson about, getting a gesture. So dance has always been, not in this recent work, not in the collages so much. Although in the big one that's on the card, at the top, there are figures that are dancing.
I see dancers.
Yeah. Oh, there's two over there that are. Oh, well.
Ruth,
Have we done it? Yes.
can you talk about the red piece in the back? The red
Oh.
thing? I've never seen that, and
Well, I did
Curious.
this series for my children called, my grandchildren actually, called You Have Stolen My Heart with a Single Glance. Biblical. And that was one of the pieces.
thank you.
I think we have room for just one more question, and the lady that was raising her hand.
Yeah, I was wondering whether you start with small sketches or whether you start big initially.
I just go for it.
Okay.
And haven't ever had, except for a commission that I had, I haven't done sketches.
What the gestures are so gorgeously moved that it's hard to do a small sketch where you have that same amount of information.
Okay, I think we've done it. Thank you, everybody.